A deal on Dickens, who could resist? A stack of Austen, warmly kissed. Golden Age crime tales twist and turn. Every page a treasure to learn. Books keep coming home with me. Piles so tall, they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea. Reading always feels so free.
Hi, my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out. I had to do a second take because I forgot which channel I was recording to.
Exactly.
Because I have 3 different channels. So, one for knitting, crocheting, one for religious stuff, and then one here. And yeah, I momentarily forgot which channel I was on.
I am Marlecia, also known as Marlecia Muses, and my BookTube is Marlecia's Meanderings.
Yes. And on the other 2 channels, we're together as well, which probably led to the confusion. Because I don't usually do BookTube with her except once a month. Usually. So, alrighty. So, this is the Clean Slate book tag. I was tagged by Kevin, and I will be linking him below so you can go and check out his channel. This tag was... Let me take a drink of tea.
I don't have any tea. The tea is all gone. I will have to have water.
This tag was created by Catalyst Reads, who apparently is no longer on BookTube, so can't tag that person.
That's sad.
Yes. I don't know if they're just completely not on BookTube, if they're on a different channel. I don't know.
I think they said that they couldn't find a person. I don't know if it's a male or female, but they couldn't find the person.
So there are 10 prompts, including the 11th one for tagging, but, 10 real prompts.
Tagging's not a real prompt?
No, it's not, because...
Is it something that we're supposed to do?
It's an optional.
Oh, it's an optional prompt.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, prompt number 1. Are there any genres that you're going to read more of or less of in 2025?
Well, it's your thing. You start.
Okay. So, I am reading more Westerns, a bit more sci-fi, and folktales.
I am a pretty eclectic reader, but in the past I've focused mostly on faith, religion, mysteries, and sci-fi fantasies. I would like to pick up on more history, more biography, and...
You're doing more classics.
Yes, more classics. But a lot of my mysteries have been classics. But yeah, I'd also, I've noticed, well, let me see, I want to... Yeah, I've noticed that my reading has changed a little bit. Like at this point in time, my story graph, I have no fantasy.
Which is very unusual for you. Okay. Number 2, are there any books you have read recently? You've read recently read?
What?
I didn't type that in. That was actually in there incorrect.
Oh.
Have there been any books you have read recently read? Sorry.
That's fun.
Okay. Sorry, that's mean. That changed or challenged some of your own philosophies and beliefs. I'm going to say challenge versus change. And by challenge, I mean not that it made me rethink as... It just made me think
I think we're
more.
thinking the same book.
Well, actually, we're not.
Okay.
Because that one... It was challenging to read, but it didn't necessarily challenge how I thought on the topic.
But I don't think that's what it means necessarily. Go ahead.
So, well, it is because it's some of your own.
Go ahead.
Challenge. Okay, so, the ones I'm going to give are Fyodor Dostoevsky's The Karamazov Brothers, and the reason I'm saying this one is that. When Fyodor Dostoevsky talks about things through his characters, about morality and afterlife type of topics, you're sitting there and being like, okay, is this what, I believe? Is this not what I believe? Because the way it comes from a Russian Orthodox background, but he also isn't even completely... It's almost like he's figuring out things because this is his last book, I believe, before he died. So he was still working through some things. But it's a book that makes you think and, it challenges you to think, but not in a way that, like if I was reading a challenging book that was a Catholic book, that's still in line with my normal. But this isn't necessarily, I'm not putting it well.
I don't know if that's an issue, though, just because it's something normally you read, or you can still be challenged.
But I'm not, it's the direct way the question asked is not, is this challenging you to your intelligence?
That's not what I meant.
Is it challenging your philosophies, personal philosophies and beliefs?
Yes.
I wouldn't have said that about the Newman book.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, then I'm not sure which book you're talking about.
I'll tell you when you're done.
Okay. Maybe we're not reading it together.
We already read it.
Oh, let's see when you're talking, because I mean, maybe I didn't find it in the same way you did. So then this one, and then the other one, Thomas Sowell's Controversial Essays, because it's funny the things that you just sort of assume and don't really think that much about, and he makes you think about different things socially, but also economically. And if you're not someone who thinks deeply on those matters normally, or if you have opinions just because it's kind of in the zeitgeist, it's just kind of out there and it's just assumed, this challenges you to go, okay, why do I believe that? Do I still believe that with these points of views presented? And these are nice, short little essays, and he tends to write, he has several books that might as well have all been called controversial essays, because he challenges in each one of them. Mm-hmm. So this is one that I would definitely put in that. Now I'm interested in seeing your answer, because I'm not sure the one you're talking about.
The one I have two of them, but the one I was thinking of at this moment, I didn't think to bring my books with me. The first one is The Warning by Christine Watkins.
Okay, I can see that.
And doesn't challenge my belief necessarily, although it is making me rethink how I feel about the apparition at Medjugorje.
Because, you did have very strong opinions.
Yeah, and it also challenged me to think about the immediacy of immediacy is probably the wrong word, the swiftness of life, and how we can't wait, and how whether or not the end time is now or it's
you don't even know when your own personal
that's my point.
End time.
That's my point. And this is not necessarily something I hadn't thought about, but it brought it home a lot more with some of these things that these people experienced. These people were visionaries. They had what's called a, what do they call it?
You mean a warning?
Well, it was a warning, but they had actual, illuminations.
Well, they used different terms throughout.
They used different terms throughout the book, but they were shown what their life was like. They were shown what their end would be if they didn't change. It was very, very powerful. And this woman has a couple books out. We just finished reading her second one. We've got her third one up there waiting to be read. And it really made an impact, not only on my life, but on my husband's life. And I don't know about Talia. She'd have to tell you herself. The other book that I read several years ago, actually, many years ago, I reread it, is called the Book of Kindness. It's Kindness by Father Levasik.
You have mentioned that several times.
Yeah, and that one. Again, we know that we're supposed to be kind to people. We know we're supposed to, treat others the way we want to be treated. But this really hit me where, kind of where I live. In fact, I tell my other daughter when she has difficulties, I say, it's time for you to reread this book, because it's that good a book. And those are the two right now that I can think of, because I've kind of fallen off reading that kind of stuff, unless they're religious or devotional type of things. And that's where my input or my impact would be.
Right. So then, who would you recommend for a newbie to watch? Oh, I guess it is me again. It depends on your tastes, really. I came into BookTube kind of through a circuitous route, so I really feel like that's, unless you're actively looking for BookTube, a lot of times I think that's how people wander upon it through other things. Because I think initially I started with the writing channels that talked about plot and those kind of things and character development, because that's always something that I enjoy. And then I ended up finding channels that focused on classics, specifically Austen, as I was getting into Austen. And those are places like Ellie Dashwood, Spencer's Library, Dr. Octavia Cox. I ended up finding TolkienTube and people like Tolkien Lore Podcast, Girl Next Gondor. Then by itself is Into the Wardrobe, which is based on Narnia. I actually found Into the Wardrobe before I found TolkienTube. And then the booktubers that, like, Chantel Reads All Day. She was the first one I watched, probably like Spencer's Library is a booktuber, but Chantel Works All Day is the one that kind of clicked for me because she was doing Agatha Christie ones. And it was after one of her videos that I said, I can booktube. But that was kind of my circuitous route into booktubing. So I would suggest people be like, I don't know, find your interest. Because even though I'm primarily almost solely like classics and history and stuff, that's not where I started. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I guess I did start classics. But, yeah, so I think that you'll find your way there based off of your individual interests.
Okay, I am also of the opinion that it depends on the person's interests. It depends on what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. I wasn't looking for BookTube. Mm-hmm. I like to write, I like to read, but I wasn't looking for BookTube. I started with the Agatha Christie's Missing, mm-hmm. and that was...
And even at that point, you weren't watching.
No, I wasn't watching. Talia pulled me in, as she does. And I was only
This is how our knitting podcast started, too.
I only was going to read one book, but I didn't. Mm-hmm. I think I was like number 3 or number 4 out of the group.
I can't remember.
I remember being surprised at how many that I read because, as I've said, I might have mentioned, I tend to be a little competitive. And if everybody else is reading a lot, then I want to read a lot. So and then after that, I didn't really think much about BookTube. I kept talking about doing something, more on the lines of devotionals and religious type tubes. But she did her thing. And
well, there was an audiobook tag, and Mom does audiobooks, not quite as much as you used to, but she does audiobooks. I'm like, hey, you should answer his tag. Actually, you know what? You are answering his tag. Here, sit here. I'll set up the camera. Ready, set, go. Mm-hmm. And that's why in the first video that she did, you have my voice in the background, even though I'm not actually present in the video.
And she had to set it up and everything because I don't...
Oh, yeah. I didn't give her the choice? Well, that sounds like I had a gun to her head.
There is no choice. There is no choice. She's a bully. There is no choice.
There is only do. There is no do not.
There is no try. Do or do not. Yes, do.
There's only do. There is no try or do not.
There's option A, not option B or C.
Nope.
Okay. So yeah, then after that, well, off I went. Off and running.
So you picked up a lot of your people through me.
I did, but I've also picked some of my own up.
Now, to be fair, you did have, although I sent her to you as well, Prose and Petticoats. Mm-hmm.
I had started watching her, and I had some really nice people spotlighting me, which was really nice. This was part of the question who'd recommend.
Like for someone who is new and wanting to get started. Because I was trying to think, like, okay, who would be like a real good ease into?
I think Charles would be really good because he's so friendly. He's so supportive.
Kelly might be a good ease.
Kelly was another one. I had these written down on a piece of paper somewhere. Kelly is another one because she's so gentle. Charles, if you answer something on his channel, I answered something and I explained something. He said, you do what you do. You make it your own. He's very supportive, and I think he would be good for newbies. Mm-hmm. And I think that Kelly would be very good as well. I think Arian would be really good because I think that she would make them laugh. She has opinions, and I think that she would be perfect for certain viewers.
I was just like, not every viewer.
I love Arian. I give her big hugs.
Oh, absolutely.
I think she's amazing. So that's one of my quirky tastes. I also tend to like people who write and read. Mm-hmm. Like CG has poetry, Charles. I do write, and I like to see other people who write. Mm-hmm. And that would have been a draw for me, but it might not be a draw for somebody else.
Right. Well, everyone has their particular taste, and that's what makes it hard to say who would be good for you to start. Someone like me, I have tastes that do run in the area of Arian's tastes and all that, but not people who prefer fiction, or who have a different. And not every personality type works for every
That's right.
person.
That's
So
right.
that's why there's so many different kinds of options on BookTube. And so I was trying to think of like, okay, trying to think of people who are like, almost like, I don't know. It's
Well, I think you have to, like, for example, just between us, myself and Talia, hers are more polished than mine are. Mine are going to be raw. That's the way I do it. I don't have the technical savvy to do it. I'm not interested in the technical savvy at this point. You're going to get what you get.
as polished as mine get, which isn't a ton.
And then you have people like, what's his name? Cranky Pants? I love his stuff. He's so funny.
But his is definitely like...
They're very produced. Very well produced. And
another one who's very produced that you haven't watched, your Spinster's Library. She puts a good amount of effort into her work, but it is definitely produced. And that's just a different style.
It's a different style, and it's very nice. And I just think it depends on what you want, on what you want to get from it.
Or what you're feeling like at that moment. Because sometimes I'm feeling... Now, topic matters for me as well.
Oh, yeah, topic's important.
And that's, again, what are you looking for in BookTube? That's why I think that's a hard question.
I think Kevin touched on this when he answered these questions. I think it was Kevin. He said, it has to be what... it's up to you. It's what you... Kevin, I'm sorry, I'm mangling what you say. Essentially, what I think he said was that you have to make that decision. Nobody can really tell you,
And it's like, because even you could say, like, you might go, oh, well, this person has a very gentle personality, so, and that might be a great place to start. Well, for some people, that might not be their speed. They might prefer...
someone more bombastic?
Or someone who is more strongly... Because you can be gentle in opinion, but you can also be strongly opinionated, almost...
brash or...
Well, okay, when you heard the last video, how I went off about Star Wars in a very blunt... Opinionated way.
Yeah,
That is not going to necessarily be everyone's speed or everyone's preference. But other people, they might prefer that to a more gentle style. So it all depends on what is your... Some people might prefer all of the above. So...
And sometimes it depends, like for me, on your mood.
Yeah.
I will go, I'm like, I want to listen to Charles. I want to listen to all of Charles. I want to see all his stuff because he makes me laugh. And sometimes I need that. Kevin is another one. I watch him a lot. He's got shorter videos. He's very eclectic in certain ways. Like he's got tags and he's got hauls and he's got something about bros, something new about brother. They have some kind of book club.
I think I've seen those come across. I'm chronically behind on BookTube anyway.
Oh, I am too.
And then I had migraines Sunday and Monday, so now I'm really behind.
And I've watched more than I've been able to respond to because sometimes I'm watching while I'm doing something else and I don't have the ability to comment.
Well, I think that's fairly common.
Yeah, but I think it's just what you have to know what you're looking for and find the people who are real, not the ones who are just looking for gaining more numbers or gaining more likes or clicks or whatever, because some of those might be really good, but some of them might not have what you're looking for.
And it all depends on what your preference is.
It does, but I think most people want to have people who really are interested in what they're talking about, they're passionate about. They're not.
Well, I think that if you're not interested, you're not going to be able to do it terribly much longer.
I don't know. I guess it depends.
Because after a while, it's going to wear you down, and you're not going to enjoy it anymore. And I don't think that's sustainable.
That's true.
But okay, do you have a book bucket list? And yeah, I absolutely do. And it's called my TBR, and it is constantly growing.
Maybe.
Yes, you do, because you have everything that we have.
I have this person, which means I have a bucket list. Because apparently I have no say.
Well, we have a Storygraph challenge that's basically just the two of us, and we keep adding things in there that we're going to read together. So we never are going to be even at 50%, because anytime we move forward, we add another book.
One?
At least one.
Yes. Why don't we modify this? At least one, sometimes 2 or 3 or 4. We add books. A lot. Yeah, I have things I want to read. Nothing that I have to read. But things that I definitely want to read. A lot of them are faith related. A lot of them are classics. Some of them I want to revisit.
Because I know I'm a rereader.
Yeah, I like to reread, especially for things that make me happy. Like I love Jack London. I love some of Edgar Allan Poe. Will not read. Well, I don't want to ask that question yet. Hold on.
I don't think there's a will not read.
Okay. Will not read horror. Do not ask me to read horror. Not supernatural horror. Not horror. No. No. I will have nightmares.
Yeah, I don't do horror either. Okay. Number 5. I think it is supposed to be what is it what is it about BookTube that has surprised you the most? That there's people who watch and comment on my channel.
Yeah. I love the community.
Because I honestly, as I've mentioned before, I created BookTube because people after a while get tired of me talking. And so since I wanted to talk more, I was like, well, even if I'm just talking to myself, so to have anyone watch and comment is absolutely surprising to me.
Yeah, I have to echo that for myself. Because I'm so much of a newbie, I know I stumble around a bit. So it always makes me, I'm always surprised that people come on and they say nice things and they make good comments about what I've said or whatever, ask questions. And the community is really nice because there's so much toxicity in other places that I've been.
Well, I think every community has its toxicity. You just have to avoid that area.
Well, I know, but you don't usually go in looking for toxicity.
Oh, absolutely.
And some places are more toxic than others. And I've been really surprised by the welcome. Really nice.
Well, you have entered a very nice corner of BookTube. We have a nice area of BookTube.
I know we do. The people here I found are very, very nice. That was kind of a surprise and also very gratifying. It kind of restores your faith in people. So that's nice.
Okay, so what are some of your goals? It doesn't have to be BookTube related. I want to get back on track with my book journal. I am so behind on it. And I also want to spend less time distracted by scrolling on YouTube and spend more time reading. Because actually, BookTube isn't the problem for me. It's other scrolling.
Yes. Tiny houses.
Because if I watch enough BookTube, I'm going to want to start reading. So that's why that one's not really a problem for me.
Yeah, BookTube's not a problem for me, too. Either.
More of the problem is that I want to buy more books.
That's the problem. My goal is to realize, like I said in another video, I don't have to buy every book that someone says that I like. And I think Kevin mentioned this as well. It's like, oh, that book, I need to check it out. Oh, that book, I have to buy that. No. Calm down. Just get through it. And so,
one of the things I sit there and go like, okay, well, I also know that if I do end up picking up the book and I read it, I got what I wanted out of it, I can then, do a thrift book thing.
That's hard. I don't like getting rid of books.
Well, if I didn't, there's a difference between if I enjoyed it and wanted to keep it, or if, okay, I got what I wanted out of it, but, I don't see myself rereading this.
And I just did that with a bunch of my devotionals.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think about that a little bit more. Not just, I don't want this book on my shelf, because I made that mistake when I got rid of a lot of my original Star Wars books, and I got rid of a lot of my original Star Trek books, and I'm having to pick them up again.
Well, thankfully, a lot of the Star Wars I got rid of, she has, so I don't have to go back and buy them. I can just borrow from her.
Yeah.
But,
well, what's nice is that when I picked up again, I picked up one that wasn't available when I had it originally. I have the anniversary edition of Heir to the Empire.
Oh, nice.
Which has Timothy Zahn's comments in the side.
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
It's really nice because then he talks about his thought processes, which I wouldn't have had that if I had my old edition.
Which kind of leads me into...
although I do have 2 versions of Heir of the Empire because of that.
Right, well, that was another question from.
Well, that's the kind of thing actually with the annotated one where I talked about the Austen, where I have an annotated Austen and non, because they provide two different things.
As for me, my goals, not wasting time on the internet, definitely. Making sure that I answer as many tags as I can, but not to stress out about them. I love being tagged, but I know that sometimes I get a little overwhelmed, so I have to just, okay, you know what? This person said they didn't do it for like a year. Okay, I can do that. I can wait.
That's why I'm like, okay, it's actually good for us to have a backlog of tags that we save for together, because we know every month we do 2 tags.
Yeah.
So
we do 2 tags, and I do one on Sunday.
Right. Well, you might not even do a tag on Sunday. You
No,
might do.
The only time I haven't done a tag on Sunday is when I've been out.
Well, I mean, like, you might have a book haul. You might
right.
You might not do a tag video.
Not a tag. When I say tag, I mean posting of some kind.
Oh, okay. I took it literally as tag.
I wasn't clear enough. That's right. You're right about that. But you're right. I might not do a tag on Sunday if I've done 2 others. But the other thing is I would like to write more. I like to pull my novel out and finish it. I'd like to I have a bunch of little shorts and stuff out that I'd like to maybe, clean those up. They're 500 Club pieces. They're flash fiction pieces. I've got a short story that I'd like to take a look at again.
Yeah, because she's waiting for me to be done with my section, the shared story. Yeah, although I am on original material, on new material.
But that's not even considering the stuff I've got going otherwise. I have to know how to balance that, though, in order to do it. Because last time I allowed myself to get really into my writing, I was burning the candle at both ends, and I made myself sick, and it was really difficult at home because
it was too much of a focus.
It was too much of a focus. So
writing is a jealous mistress.
It is, but I would like to do some stuff with that. Go back to my poetry, which is where I started, and do that. So yeah.
Yeah, I was never as serious in writing as you. I always have been. It's more been as I feel like.
Well, I've been writing since before I could write, in that I was doing, we do stuff and I'd say, okay, this is your part, this is your part.
The thing is, I've always done that too, but I don't know. I've just never been. You've made it always more of a serious goal where it's just like.
Well, it's funny because I used to write poetry. I never was going to write prose until someone I did drama. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do prose.
And the funny thing is, I never really did anything that I considered good for poetry until I got sick. Well, and then it was like at one point I felt like I could. Well, I did do prose. I had a couple moments where the only way I could get it out was poetry.
No, that poetry you have to have.
And it's the most abstract thing or semi-abstract thing I've ever written.
I've got one that's really abstract.
And I'm not an abstract writer.
I'm not either. I don't like abstract. I have one that's really abstract. And it's just, I think you have to be in a certain place.
Yeah.
You have to have something to draw off of. And a lot of times, for me anyway, drawing off of something, the happy comes off sappy. So, and I'm not saying that I want to be like, oh.
Well, it was almost like a scream of pain.
Yeah, no, I got that from when I read it. But, yeah. So, yeah. Let's see, what are we looking at?
So the next one, okay, so if you can meet, dead or alive, any writer, artist, musician, who would they be? Well, I'm just going to cross out artist, I'm going to cross out musician, and it's going to be writer. And to be Agatha Christie, Jane Austen, Timothy Zahn, that's the only one who's alive, Dr. Oliver Sacks, and Tolkien. I actually paused on Tolkien for a bit, because for a second I was like, he might be a bit intense.
I don't care.
And then I added him in. I figure I can get him talking, even if he talks a bit over my head.
I'm going to do the same thing that she did. Scratch the musician, scratch the artist.
I wasn't sure if you can scratch musician or not because you are a musician.
Yeah, I just, no. No. I have to think more about it. For the books, we do have some in common. I would want Tolkien, Lewis, Chesterton, and I would want Dorothy Sayers, Agatha Christie, Jack London, Edgar Allan Poe.
Well, the funny thing is, even if I like an author, doesn't necessarily mean that would be the person I want to talk to.
These are people I want to talk to. These are people I want to talk to.
Because I know with Christie, some of it's the way her mind works. For Austen, she thinks about characters the way I do, almost like they're alive.
Oddly enough, even though we don't read this, I think I would like to talk to J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, I think that her way of writing. Well, you guys think on the same wavelength with writing, even though you write.
I've never read her stuff.
Yeah.
That's just...
But, yeah, because with Austen, the way she would talk about her characters, like, they were still alive, and they would have, like, Darcy would think this about Lizzie having a painting out where other people could see it. Well, that's not part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
But the characters continue to live her, and that I can connect with. And so I could see just having these conversations. Now, I know for the Brontes, they almost lived in their world in almost like detached, kind of like concerning way.
Kind of detached from reality.
And also, their world's a bit darker.
Yeah.
I prefer Austen's world. And I get the connection she has with her characters.
We do that.
Yes,
we
we
do
absolutely.
that when we write. So
well, we've actually had legitimate arguments where we get mad for each other's characters because they were being misunderstood.
Characters are people. Yes, characters are people. Yes, mm-hmm. They tell you what to do. You don't drive this book; they do.
I forget what I was reading, where it mentioned that that characters tend to, you talk to a writer, a character will have a life beyond the page.
Absolutely.
And it might have been something I was watching. And it's like, I know what it was. It's the book that I just gave you, where it was
Which book that you just gave
the
me?
one that you're right, I always give you books. The one that I gave you, that the person whose channel I watch, she does like
right. Mm-hmm.
She'll talk about fights in movies and stuff.
Right. Mm-hmm.
The book she wrote, where it's an author interacting with her characters, and about whether or not the character, and also I think the other one I was thinking about was that and the movie guy
You're talking about the one where he doesn't kill him off at the end?
It's the one that's a video game.
Right.
Free Guy.
Mm-hmm.
Free Guy. Because when he, the whole conversation where the, they almost see the video game maker as, well, is that God? Because it created us, and also the conversation around Truman Show, how, that world is kind of created. And so I was like, I remember commenting something effective like, some of my characters will say that they don't believe I exist. Mm-hmm. One of them, just on the off chance that I do exist, will do things to kind of appease me.
Think
of the person who's not religious but will just in case God exists. That's this character.
Yeah.
And then I have the one who's just not only does this person not exist, I wouldn't even care. It's
immaterial.
It's immaterial, exactly. It's not an issue. It's he would think that it's utterly absurd. And so he just goes on his little
merry
way. He does not have any merry way.
A certain one of my characters thinks he does.
But anyway, so yes, that's that. You kind of answered at the same time, so
yeah, I did. We just kind of did it together.
Yeah. Would you rather have your life written by your favorite author or be portrayed in a movie by your favorite actor, actress? And I guess written, I don't really have a life that's that fascinating.
I don't
so
either.
It's just I don't see why either of those things would be a thing.
And I think I can have more control over the written than over the actor. I don't have a favorite actress.
I don't either.
I don't have a favorite actress.
Any favorite actress I would have had, I would never choose as an option to be me. I like Maureen O'Hara. There's no way a Maureen O'Hara. There's just no way.
Yeah, I like Audrey Hepburn. There's just
now you could say an Audrey Hepburn. At least there's the coloring and the size and stuff.
But there's nobody that really. I guess you could just say who could portray you in looks or is close to what you are. I don't connect that way with celebrities and actors and actresses, so I can't really answer that question.
And a lot of the actors that I might have been like, oh, that's an actor that I really like, are the guy actors. Like I like, I always lose his name. To Kill a Mockingbird.
Gregory Peck. Yep.
Why do I always do that?
I don't know.
It's every single time, consistently.
Mm-hmm.
It drives me nuts because I can picture him. I can name up, things.
Well, I like Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah.
But I don't want him playing me.
Well, obviously, I won't.
Ingrid Bergman.
No, I'm not a huge Ingrid Bergman fan.
I like her. I like Olivia de Havilland.
I know you do.
Yeah. But see, the thing is, all the actresses that I would even be able to consider are from the golden age of Hollywood.
Now, the only actress I like that's more modern is, that I would definitely say, like, oh, I like her, is Rachel Weisz.
Yes, I do like Rachel Weisz.
Now, she does have a similar coloring, which is about all that.
Yeah. I mean, I know who Davina would say, Scarlett Johansson.
Well, Davina loves Scarlett Johansson. But she also loves, remember the girl from, it was that Western TV show.
Yeah, but she hasn't talked about her in a long time.
Yeah, but like she thought she was
For
like the
a while,
most beautiful thing.
yeah.
What show was that?
It was Big Valley.
Big Valley. She absolutely loved that blonde. Anyway, so that's kind of sort of answer.
That's us on a tangent.
I don't really have an author I would pick either because honestly, like they said, what author would you pick? Well, none of my authors would write anything. Like I don't have a kind of life where it'd be like, oh yeah, my favorite authors most of my favorite authors I would point to are fiction. Or if I can say, oh, these are historians I tend to read. A lot of my favorite historians tend to be medievalists or they write in antiquity.
Well,
so
see,
I wouldn't be like, unless say Dr. Oliver Sacks who does neurological.
Well, I kind of took it a different direction and just said, okay, let them write their genre and put my life in it. And then I said, okay, I'd like to see Timothy Zahn do it in that kind of a futuristic situation.
So almost like taking you as you are, but then putting you in different situations.
Yeah.
Almost like making you a character.
Yeah, almost like that because otherwise I don't see the point.
Right. Now I could see, because I actually touched on Dr. Oliver Sacks, I have neurological disorders and he does case studies. So I actually could say if Dr. Oliver Sacks was still writing, he would be a good choice because he actually would fit in with case studies, with my dysautonomia, my migraines. That actually would fit because he did case study neurology books.
Yeah, I had.
So actually, that is the only thing that actually would make any logical sense.
I had a hard time with that because I'm starting to get ideas now, but we're already getting along, so
we're still under time. Okay, so, actually, 9. What are some of the challenges you have overcome or would still like to improve in regards to your channel? I don't have goals for my channel. Honestly, I'm not someone who's really interested in getting a point to monetization or anything like that. My only goal is to enjoy myself and have good conversations and to talk about books I like, to talk about books I don't like, and just share my opinion to whoever wants to listen. And if they don't want to listen, they will find elsewhere to go. So that's literally my only goal for BookTube, and it's not going to change.
I don't really have goals for BookTube either, except maybe to become a little more technically adept. And mostly I just want to have fun with it. I want to maybe broaden out what I do a little bit. I have ideas for because I'm still new. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing.
Well, you're trying to figure out what works for you.
What works for me. So...
Well, it took me a little while to find out what I liked. I figured out, for me, what works best is I do book reviews when I finish the book, and I do individual videos for the book reviews. But that just happens to be what works for me.
And I'm still figuring out. Right now, it seems that doing tags on Sunday works for me. But
or do you mean tags or videos? Or both?
Both. Because I do them at the same time.
Well, I mean, like sometimes you don't do tag videos. That's why I wanted I wanted to clarify.
Yeah, well, whatever I do on Sunday. Usually they're tags. But, For
example, I know you have a book haul probably coming up soon.
Yeah, I do. And there are a couple of things I want to do, and they still kind of in the embryonic stage in my brain. So, and once I figure that out, I know I'm probably going to be a little more faith-based than some of the other tubers out there, and that's something I'm okay with. I hope that people don't mind that, but that's what I want to do.
The one area of improvement I can think of for myself is I'd like to maybe keep up with my comments better.
Yes, yes.
But I know part of that is medically related and balancing that and reading. So, but that would be, if I was to point to a goal, it would be to interact more.
Yeah, other than that, though, I don't really set goals for myself.
No, this is fun. My goals tend to be more in my reading itself, because that's the challenge that's supposed to kind of keep me as sharp as I can be without being able, because I can't go out in the workplace. I don't have a whole lot that I can do outside the home. I need to challenge myself somewhere, so it's going to be in what I put into my mind
And that's
how I
also-
interact with
That's
it.
also a challenge for me, which is one of the reasons I'm sticking right now with the theology challenge over faith and books. Is that what faith?
I think it is.
The Newman one. Even if I do it superficially for this time around, I need to engage my mind.
An essay on the
The creation of Christian doctrine.
on the development of Christian doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
I was having to sit there and think because I was
I can see the
rewriting.
book.
Oh, I was rewriting this morning the sticky notes that I fold sticky notes over in half, and I decided to write them in Sharpie this time so I could find them easier. And I put in the Ziploc bag with my highlighter and a pen that I'm using with it. And I was rewriting all my tags, including that one. So I was trying to picture in my head the title I'd written down.
And that's a heavy book.
It is a heavy book.
I don't mean this way. I mean, although it's kind of heavy that way too. But
It's not too. I have heavier.
yeah.
Okay. Then what advice would you give to someone that's thinking about deleting their YouTube channel? Is it giving you joy?
Yeah.
Or okay, if you're not sure yet, make sure it's not an impulse. Make sure that it is, something that you aren't, doing on a spur of a moment. And
Don't be rash.
Don't be rash, because if it's going to be something you might regret later, hold off, think about it. Maybe consider if maybe you want to turn around what kind of content you're doing, pivot, whatever. But if you find that, no, I don't want to pivot, I am really not enjoying it, then get rid of it.
Yeah.
BookTube should bring
It's fun.
joy.
Yeah, it's fun. I would say the same thing. I would also say, take it through stages. Maybe take a break. Or if you're doing something multiple times a week, drop back the number of times you post. Just don't let that be your last resort, just to make sure that that's what you want to do. But by the same token, don't let anyone talk you out of doing something that you really want to do.
Right.
Just be sure it's your own decision and not forced by something someone said or, whatever it is that is making the person just kind of disillusioned.
And sometimes just a hiatus of just not touching the channel for a while. You can always come back to a channel that you didn't touch for a while. It's a lot harder to restart from nothing. So if that could always be an option as well, just don't post for a while. It could be as many as years, and then you might decide, oh, I'm coming back. I know someone in knitting who she had twins, and then she took a good 2-3 years off.
Is she back?
When I was still more involved in the knitting community, she had come back.
I had seen her then, but that was like 4 years ago or something.
But I haven't been super involved. I haven't searched for her since then. So I don't know, as the kids get older, if they're gonna, if she's gonna pull back again with kids' activities. But
especially when she works night shift.
I know she moved to days.
Or did she?
So she, but that's an example of someone who her life circumstances. And she's another one who said, once it stops being fun, I'm going to stop. And she always had that mindset, which is actually probably a very helpful mindset because she was one of my early channels that I absorbed for knitting, because she was also a fellow night shift nurse. And so I think absorbed some of that from her. And like I said, she took 2-3 years off, and then came back. That's totally an option for anyone on BookTube. It's like, this isn't working for me right now. Take how much time you want off, and it's there if you want it. If not,
and you don't have to be on a schedule. If you just do, there are people that whenever I feel like doing it, that's when I'm going to post something. That's fine too.
Mom has a tendency, like you like a level of consistency, which is why you tend to do on Sunday. For me, I do as I feel well, and I tend to batch record. So I'll record if I'm having a good night, I will record 5 6 videos at a time, depending on how much time I have. And then I will post them as I feel up to it. Like, I think I have like 5 that I need to edit right now. Something like that. Because I had done a bunch of batch recordings and I was really behind.
And while Talia's right, I do like a level of scheduling. I also have to do it when I can find the time because there's 4 adults in this house and I don't have like supreme power when they can watch TV or whatever. So, because that wouldn't be fair. So I have to work around schedules.
And that's where something like, if you could learn a low level of editing, or we do like we're doing this time where you airdrop it to me, I at least splice it and then airdrop it back to you.
Yeah.
Just so that way, if something does happen, you don't have to record all from the beginning. Now, it does mean that you can't necessarily post it right away on Sunday because I'm asleep a lot of Sunday.
Well, hopefully I won't have that to worry about.
Yeah.
On Sunday because I don't do it that late.
Yeah, but I am actually starting to I'm starting to feel a little wiped out.
Well, yeah, this is our 3rd podcast, so all right. Yeah, we are.
And I haven't slept yet today.
Okay, so who do we tag? You put it in the bottom of your...
Yeah, I'll put it in the bottom. It'll probably be the usual suspects, but it's getting to be, not only did we do 3 videos under bright light for me, I usually sleep in the afternoon because that's when my body feels like it, and I'm starting to feel my energy sap. So, thank you very much for joining us. We will see you again, well, whenever, because we have 2 different channels.
Yep.
And who knows when our different videos will go up.
Yep. God bless.
God bless. Bye.
Books keep coming home with me. Piles so tall, they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea. Reading always feels so free.